Good evening and welcome to the show, Earth to the Other Side. I'm John Glasspool, your host. Tonight, I'm welcoming back Althea Watson to the show. We spoke previously about her two NDEs, and tonight we're going to focus on her spiritually transformative experiences, so her STEs. And I'm really excited to speak with her. Althea, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Good, so great to be back. I just won't go away. As you know, before I was 7 years old, I had a near death experience. And when I came back from that experience, I was telepathic. This happens a lot with people that have near death experiences or spiritually transformative experiences. Now, near death is that you actually are considered dead. You leave your body and your heart stops, and you go to the other side. And a lot of people get really scared of death. So I get a lot of calls about guidance and death. Well, we don't die, we transition. We leave our body and we become what we truly are, which is spirit. And on the other side, let me take a step back. When you're getting ready to transcend from the earth life and go to the other side, you get people that have already gone over coming back to you in spirit to help you prepare, to help you let go. And because a lot of people go, I don't want to die alone. Well, you don't. You don't even have a near death experience alone. It's kind of frustrating, but we are never alone. So get used to it. So you think you're so reclusive sometimes, and it's like, no, there's someone there. You have to let them in. So with the near death, we get to the other side. Now, most people from my research that I've been doing for years, my own experiences, we the light is there and we just get pulled in somehow. Now, with the transition, this is a difference between the near death and the death experience is when we leave our body, you have guidance. Like I was with my mother when she died, and she had said to me, like 2 weeks before she went over, that her dad would be there, my grandfather, and he was there, as was my grandmother, her mother, and our Aunt Mary, and I could sense the presence of another aunt. And the room was crowded because my mother had been very social when she was younger, and she outlived a lot of people. And so she had a crowd there, and she went. I saw her spirit leave her body. It was this gray mist, and then it went into a different dimension, as they all did, and she was escorted to the other side. With a spiritually transformative experience, you do not have a death. Your heart doesn't stop. It doesn't happen during surgery or accidents. It's one of those quiet moments, dreams, it can even be in the grocery store where something just shifts and this awakening and connection to the other side opens up and you get guidance. And because most likely the relaxed state you're in, you're able to hear or sense what happens. In all those experiences, it's telepathic. And people say, well, what about channeling? Well, that's another telepathic experience. How do you know your guidance is going to keep you in the light or in where you want to be for what you think of, how you think of yourself, the world, and what you want to accomplish? You have to be so strong in conviction and faith that that's it, what you believe. And with that belief, you also have to go along with what creates that frequency. What is that? If you want to follow the frequencies of Jesus, then it's a good idea to know the kindness, that you don't steal, and those are also when you want to follow Moses, because he's the one that brought us the Ten Commandments. So these are things that you need to look at. You just can't say, yeah, I want to be out with Jesus and go sell drugs. Usually what steps in is some sort of guidance or a guardian help you have a experience as a NDE or STE so you can get back on track. But when you entice other people to get involved, or you play on someone's insecurities or vulnerabilities, this is not okay. And you're setting yourself up for when you do go to the other side and have your life review, you will feel all the things that those people went through. So that's going to be what you experience in your life review. So I'm just saying, you want to look at, am I Buddhist? Am I this? Am I pagan? Am I whatever it is? It's okay. But then find out what that means. So you know that if this is who you are with this belief system, then you want to align with that. Because when you do, you'll get the guides that are in that frequency, that are with that belief system. It's just like color, and a prism. It's like red is the slowest, a lot of people know this already, the slowest form of vibration, and the vibration of that frequency of sound creates the color red. And then if it speeds up, you get orange and on up the spectrum of light. So we do have a vibratory rate and we do have an essence. It comes out as sound and color. And for some people, they smell it. They smell frequencies, and so it's this is how we gauge. So it's that this is what my path is, then I want to do this, then find what belief system supports it. And if you're going, well, I'm finding my own belief system, 100% okay. So many people that come back from a near-death experience, they realize that the Bible is not like okay for them anymore. They start researching history and they find that Gnostic Christians believed in reincarnation. And then it was the people in the authority of the ruling people on earth that said, you go with this and we're going to kill you. So a lot of people wanted to stay alive. And so they buried that belief. That is just so exciting to explore, to find what makes your heart feel the love of life and love of passion. When I came back from my NDE, I had been told I had a choice the first time. And in that moment, I remembered my dog and my mom. I, was before 7, how much do you know in life? But all of a sudden they came into my mind and bam, I was back in my body. I'm back on the earth plane. But one thing I had been told is, well, you'll have guidance. And I did. I had guidance all along. Now, our higher self, we generally hear as telepathic. It comes in our mind, and that's how it is on the other side. And you can feel guidance by the energy around you. So I would pray and every morning, or I would meditate, and I would just, be in this light, because we can bring that down. It is within us. It is in everything. It's all around us. God is the essence within each individual, and it is I don't want to say the gluten, because that isn't so good for people, but it's part of the vibration, the thread that brings us all together and creates existence, and is so complex that even for me to try to define it, I know nothing, So anyway, so I have these experiences where I have this energy just like pick me up and take me somewhere. Da, 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 da. So I go to this Goodwill store. Now, at the Goodwill store, they have very, very bendable hangers. They're very thin plastic. And they're all, it's all one size. So you put a blouse on the rack and they're always like an abundance of clothes there. It's like everything is so squashed together. It's sometimes hard to pull something out of the rack. So what happens though is a blouse will fall off the shoulder of the hanger and the hanger will move up and tilt because it's not balanced. So my energy takes me to this rack at this Goodwill store. I'm like, And they take me to this hanger that's tilted. And so I know that I have to put my hand in between these two balanced blouses to get the one that's falling off the hanger. I put my hand in. I am flooded with the deepest peace that I have only known when I am on the other side or with angels or guardians. It was all consuming, and it was just, uh, you just can't explain it. It is just a gift that I wish every person in this world could feel, because if they did, there would be no cruelty, there would be no war, because each person would go, I want this forever. So I feel this, and this comfort of this just grace, this peace. And I have felt it on the earth plane at different times, because it's in us, but we don't think of it as being in us because we don't consider ourselves as having the magnitude of being able to accept it or realize it or feel it or be with it. So I'm in now this ecstasy, beyond magnificence of love. And I pull the blouse out. It's my mother's blouse. I look at the label, and it's my writing on the inside label with her 3 initials. It's a blouse I bought her. I bought her turquoise pants and this white and turquoise blouse that had gold brocade and glass beads on it in flower designs. And it was so pretty that, she would get compliments on it all the time, so she would wear it all the time. And sometimes you could tell people, because she died on her 98th birthday. So, you could, when you saw people in their 90s, like having lunch with her, after lunch, they'd be like, just kind of like looking at the glint of the glass beads, and it kind of be, it's time for my nap. It was so cute. So I couldn't believe this. It was like when she died, and from when it was like maybe 8 months or a year after I don't even know, because I don't keep track of things, but it was that I had taken all of her clothes to the Goodwill. It was like, how did this happen? And I looked at the blouse, and because the brocade was sewn on top of the blouse, pardon me, I would, it was a doorknob that was always like catching the brocade. I don't, you know how things just happen, And so when I go to see her, I would like stitch anything that she needed to have fixed. I would do it for her because I can. And so I looked at the blouse, and it was like I know my stitching, because I used to like make lots of clothes and stuff. And so I know my work, and it was just amazing to me. And then I put the blouse back on the hanger, and I was guided to put it back in the rack. I wasn't going to buy it. And then my guidance took me back out of the store. It was just such a confirmation that my mother was on the other side. I knew she would be, but it was a confirmation. And it was just, I felt a thank you of a recognition. Learning to trust our guidance is a very big lesson. We can hear them telepathically. Sometimes we will sense them or feel them. We don't always hear like a medium does, like I do. But we also can be guided, propelled, and that's part of guidance. So here's my thing, because I'm talking about this with you is because I get a lot of people asking me about this, and it's that we all have abilities of hearing telepathically, of sensing. These are our intuitive abilities. I started working with mine before I was 7 years old. And I had a mother that could read energy and could see spirit and had vision. So I had help and guidance from her. I had my most guidance from my guides. And the higher self you can hear inside of you, guidance often comes in and you see them as spirit. And how do you know if it's a good spirit or not? It goes back to be so unwavering and committed to what you believe, what you want in your life, and what you want to create. Because if you don't make those decisions, you will get the dark side because that can happen. And have a check all the way along. We get so excited. Oh, I'm hearing the spiritual guidance. Check with what is being said. There are sometimes a trickster where you'll get a lot of good guidance, good guidance, good guidance. And then all of a sudden, uh-oh, what am I really being told? And it's like, no, I don't believe this. And I don't for a minute want to put it out there for other people to believe because this could hurt someone. So, no, this is so not for me.
With the guidance being there all along, you know,
Yes.
it's a matter of being able to recognize it. Some people might be able to naturally, I think, but I know for me it didn't come natural. You know, I think it came through meditating a lot and being, you know, aware that there was guidance there and how to recognize it, you know.
Yeah,
It's always there, but
absolutely.
I think the trick is also to ask for it and then know how to
Yes, you
recognize
have to want it. Yeah, you
it.
have to want it. This is
Yeah,
not like an easy path.
no.
Because you do have to make choices and you watch other people going and doing crazy things and you go, oh, I kind of want to try that. And then you go, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not with where I really want to go. But it's hard, especially when you're young, to make those choices. With doing something where it's just an activity, you can have the guidance come in and talk to you because your mind is quieter. When you're focused on something but not necessarily thinking about something, that's that's when it, and I think sometimes the guidance can come in, but then we're so used to the mental chatter that we kind of run to that because we know it and we're safe and secure with it. And you just have to say, oh wait, there's something really more that I would like to have, something more that I would like to experience. And that's when our mind can quiet. We have to sometimes to say, let me be quiet. There was this wonderful Greek philosopher, Boscolos. He was just extraordinary. And I heard him, I had the honor and privilege of hearing him speak one time. And he was like, we're on the earth plane, we're with the elementals. You have to ask continually. I want to be connected and hear my higher self. That's when you feel the change. It's
Mhm.
really awesome. It's like, wow.
But then it becomes sort of at the forefront of your mind, and it's au naturel, you know. You just kind of
Yes.
you're just sort of on that frequency more often, and it's easier and to access, I find, you know. And
Yeah.
it even made the hairs on my arm like raise when you were talking before about feeling it, you know, in the room. Like sometimes you might be in a situation and you might be mindful of the fact that you're, you know, you have guidance available. So you're thinking, okay, all right, like I can use some guidance here, you know, and then you have that feeling, you know, that I don't know how to explain it, but it's a feeling. It's I'm sure a lot of people watching this know what I'm talking about if they've experienced this before. It's just this like inexplainable, okay, this feels like I'm being guided. Like I'm thinking this is what I should decide and I'm getting the good feeling now, you know, that kind of thing.
I had the most remarkable friend ever in my life. Her name was Sally. And oh my God, she was such an adventurer. She was the light. I mean, she was like, I'm making organic food. I'm like, what's that? This was like when she was like in sixth grade, and she took people to Alaska to go bird watching. And she just was so cool. She was totally fearless and totally in the light. I'd look at her at times and just see this light around her. But there was one day where we were in the woods and there was this tree, this huge tree trunk. All the branches were gone. And Sally went over and she got on her hands and knees and crawled across this tree trunk. And it was huge. I mean, this had been a tree that had lived forever. You couldn't put your arms around it with just two people. I mean, it was huge. And she was on the other side going, come on, jumping back and forth, come on. So I get on my hands and knees and I start crawling and I'm crawling. And all of a sudden, I hear this sound like it's raining. And I look around, I'm not wet. My hands aren't wet. I don't feel wet on my hair. And then all of a sudden, this tree trunk that was like this goes, eh. I'm like, oh. And I look at Sally and she's like, she's frozen. It's the first quiet moment I ever had with her as a friend. She just was frozen and like with her hands up. And I was like, oh, this is not good. So I look around and this sound of rain is dirt and rocks, big rocks and pebbles falling because of the tree trunk. And I look and I see this tree trunk is so old that I I didn't there are no roots. There are no roots taking this tree trunk into the ground. It's like it's on top of this. To me, all of a sudden I went, oh, it's kind of a cliff. Well, I turn around, I look down. Oh my God, this chasm, I swear to you, looked like it went to the center of the earth. No one, nothing would have lived falling down this chasm. And the rocks that were down there, and it was all rocky, they looked so tiny because it was so far into the earth. So I'm like, well, maybe I should back up. What do I do? And then I hear, don't look down. Don't look anywhere. Look straight ahead. You start crawling and you do not stop. Like, holy shit. What voice? What voice was this? This wasn't my higher self. This wasn't any of the dead people coming to me to need help going to the other side. They weren't the dead people, going, I'm disoriented. Can you tell? It wasn't anything like that. I had never heard this voice before, ever. But I thought I better follow it. I never had good balance. So backing up, like crawling backwards, when I thought of that, it was like I vetoed it right away because I thought I'll lose my balance because this is not, this is nothing I can do. So I started crawling and I thought I'll crawl as fast as I can. Once I started crawling, even more dirt falling behind me. And the tree that had been like this, the one like this, went boom again. And I'm like, oh, I was so scared. And I look at Sally, and she's gone from being pale to being gray. It was like no color in her lips. Like she wanted to grab me, but she couldn't, she couldn't, but she was frozen. And then all of a sudden, the dirt where this edge of the tree on the top of this chasm is starts falling. It had been a really dry summer. And, it wasn't clumps of dirt. It was like the dirt was just going into powder. And all these rocks and all this was just falling. So where the tree trunk had gone like this, bump, bump, all of a sudden this went boom. It went down. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm getting closer and I'm getting closer to the edge, and the tree trunk breaks away and starts to fall. So for this moment, I'm airborne and I just go into shock. I'm like, I'm not panicky. I'm not saying, God saves me, Jesus be with me. I'm just like shorted out. And then I feel two hands, one on my lower back and my left buttocks, and one on my lower back and my right buttocks, and two sets of hands on my upper back. And they push me to the top part of this chasm, and I grab onto this cliff and I pull myself up, and I'm just shaking. I'm like, kind of wet from sweat because I was so scared. And I'm on my knees, and I don't think I could have even stood up then. I was shaking so much. And I turn around and look down, and Sally, like, I can feel her. I don't see her because I'm like this and I'm in shock. And I feel her come up and look down. and we see this kind of like clay, red clay and brown dirt, just like waves of this, waves of this. I don't see the tree trunk at all. I just see all of this stuff. And then we hear this muffled thump. And I thought, this was one gigantic tree. And that muffled thump is because that's how far down this fall was. And Sally looks at me and she steps back and she's pointing at me and goes, Fraidy cat, you were so scared. Now I'm seeing like tears like from her eyes, right? But she's like, Fraidy cat, you're so scared. Fraidy cat, Fraidy cat. And she turns and runs into the woods. And I'm like on the ground still going, who are these hands? Where are the people connected to these hands? What was this? I just got saved. But I thought I could be lost in these woods because this was a part of the woods that I didn't know, but Sally did. So I like got up and went running after her. And we never talked about it because, we were kids. We didn't talk about scary shit, and we got in trouble a lot because, of course, I blame everything on Sally because it was Sally's fault. But it wasn't. We just were kids like taking risks.
She didn't wonder how you managed to get up without any assistance?
She was so much in the light, that she had referenced, oh, it's your angels, it's your guys. It's like she knew. But we didn't go there because it was kind of scary. And she was terrified. I mean, her eyes were filled with tears because she thought she was going to lose me. And like, how do you go get help when you're on the other side of this chasm and then remember how to find the body?
You guys never spoke about it again later on in life, or did
We
she?
never did. I always wanted to, but then when we got together, we were so in the moment. It was just so in the moment. But she does come in from time to time, and we talk. And she is in that place of magnificence, and she does go see her kids, and she sees her husband, and she knows that everyone has gone on with their lives in the way that was important and kind of supposed to. People say, well, we sign a contract. I don't know about that, but I do know that we make choices. And so we do have a path. We have our tribe, we have our people that we learn from and they learn from us. And then we have our core group of people that we love, and that changes and people come in and out. And Sally even let me know that there were people that she never met on the earth plane that she goes to visits because they're connected through the soul, the level. And I had never knew that. I mean, I thought everyone like, oh, I'll see, Uncle Hank and I'll see this. But what happens is that we've had so many multitudes of lives because reincarnation is true and we are energy, that we do have lives where there are people very important to us that we never meet. And so Sally will sometimes tell me about that. So I thought, well, what was this? Because I felt 4 sets of hands saving me on this. And someone said, well, it sounds like your guardian angel. Now, a guardian, and I thought, well, it had been a voice that I heard maybe on another couple of adventures I were on that were kind of like on the edge of life and death, like this was. And I heard that voice that I think is a voice. So I go, this might be my guardian angel. And has like backup, like we have a crew for technical work. And so maybe that's it. For the longest time, I thought, oh, it's Hindu nature spirits because they know I love them. And, but I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, thank you very much again for coming back and talking with us about all your amazing experiences. It's been really fun.
Well, thank you. I'm just so glad you're recording it because there's so much to the NDE, near-death experience, and spiritually transformative and out of body and just what we are, what consciousness is. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Until next time.
Till next time.
Blessings.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Good evening. Welcome to the show Earth to the Other Side. I'm John Glasspool, your host. Tonight, I'm welcoming back Althea Watson to talk about STEs, two or three of which he had. We will discuss tonight. That's spiritually transformative diseases. Okay.